So some of the colonies, you'll be surprised that they have been planned in areas where there was a water collection, just say pond kehte hain, or they would call talab. For instance, I live in a place which is called Bakhat Sagar, which is originally a Bakhat Sagar. So rainwater from the walled city would come and get collected over there. It would fill that pond and then it would go to the Joshri River. Now Bakhat Sagar has got converted into a colony. Three ways of, making Jodhpur water positive. One is revive the old Bawris, bring them into the mainstream, because water is still there. The other is connect them to the larger network. And the third is start building more such Bawri. Water or giving water to people through Pyau or through kuas and these Bawris has always been a philanthropic. It's a matter of religious merit. So people, some of them have woken up to that also, that if they help you revive the Bawris, they are actually doing a good deed, a good religious deed. The other is, we have set an example by creating making a new Bawri in this township. It's called Umed Heritage Township. It's on the foothills of Umed Bhavan Palace. So what we have done is we have created this Bawri and we are using it for irrigation, and in times of emergency we'll supply it to people. So by way of this, we have been able to create an example that here, even today, Bawris are feasible and viable financially also and technically also. Well, the city is heading towards what I would say a more water stressed state. We have to develop our own sources, because we have our sources. If we did not have sources, maybe we would not have spoken so much about it or campaigned so much about the revival. But we have our own sources, and let me tell you that even though Jodhpur is considered to be a low rainfall area, I do not think that it is insufficient rainfall that you have. However much rain falls over here is sufficient to fulfill our demands. So the problem is not water scarcity, but water management. Not only the catchment areas, even the water bodies have been disturbed. They have been abandoned, they are now languishing, and some of them have been encroached upon, and some you don't even know that they are there because people have built over those. On part of government, it's complicity, complacence and callousness. That is primarily because of that the rich water heritage of Jodhpur has come to be what it is now. It's in a very, very bad state. The major part of the catchment areas have been leased out for mining, stone mining. So from those places from where the water would fall, rainwater would fall and it would get collected and diverted into the natural lakes and natural water bodies, those areas have been dug up because of quarrying and mining. So naturally the flow of water is stopped.
We are in the desert city of Jodhpur, and to discuss its ancient water structure and present water structure, I have with me the leading architect of the city, Jodhpur, Mr. Anu Mridul. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, who else can enlighten us on the water architecture of this city? So let us know that, how was the ancient architecture of this city commissioned by at that time queens and the kings of the Jodhpur city?
Jodhpur was founded in the year 1459. The original capital was at Mandor, which is about 10 kilometers away from the center of Jodhpur. And from there, because of defense reasons, the capital was shifted to one hillock over here, where you have the fort located presently. So defense was the major determinant for Jodhpur to be established here, and water was of course always scarce. The rainfall has always been about not more than 300 mm average annually. So even in such trying circumstances, and when there's so much scarcity of water, they chose to set up their capital here, the Jodhpur city's capital here, because they were sure that however much rain falls here, they'll be able to capture and fulfill the demands of the city, which would ultimately come up, and they did it very successfully.
So what sort of, there were several types of water bodies which were employed to supply water throughout the year to the people of the city. What were those water structures like?
Well, they had a very good understanding of the geology and the structure of the rocks over here. So they knew where are the fissures and what would become an aquifer. So how they started is they started collecting the surface water. There was a large catchment area. Jodhpur wasn't as big as it is today, and it's in a bad state than it was in those days. So all the rainwater that would drop here, they ensure that every drop is harvested, collected into the surface water bodies. Once they are in the surface water bodies, they would percolate into the earth, and they would fill up the aquifers, and these aquifers travel the entire length of the rocky structure of Jodhpur, and it is on these aquifers that they started digging wells, and they constructed step wells and step ponds and all, and from there they started getting water. So essentially whatever water is there in Jodhpur is essentially rainwater. There's no other water, there's no river here, there's only a seasonal river which actually starts flowing after they have filled up all their water bodies. I would call them utensils of the city, you know. So like you have utensils in the house, they have. So every small and big utensil they would fill. As you would go in a water scarce area or a water scarce region, they make sure that when they get water supply, they fill even the smallest vessel. Similarly here, the smallest, you know, the cavity or the smallest trough in the rock, they would fill with water, and that water through aquifers would get transferred to the various wells that they had dug.
Okay, as you said that, you know, the only source of water for the Jodhpur city used to be only rain, and still it is rain. So in a way, as you said, that the catchment areas being disturbed of those water bodies,
they have been thoroughly disturbed, and not only the catchment areas, even the water bodies have been disturbed. They have been abandoned, they are, you know, now languishing, and some of them have been encroached upon, and some you don't even know that they are there because people have built over those. And I normally use this term, 3 C's. It's on part of government, it's complicity, complacence and callousness. That is primarily because of that the rich water heritage of Jodhpur has come to be what it is now. It's in a very, very bad state.
So in a way you are saying that those catchment areas are disturbed by whom, and how these catchment areas being disturbed, and what is the solution that you think should be?
Well, the major part of the catchment areas have been leased out for mining, stone mining. So from those places from where the water would fall, rainwater would fall, and it would get collected and diverted into the natural lakes and natural water bodies, those areas have been dug up because of quarrying and mining. So naturally the flow of water is stopped, it gets collected in the mines. Even mining stops during rains because all the mines are as deep as 100 feet at times, you know? So they've been digging so much of it. So that's one major problem. Then there were canals which would bring water from these lakes into the city. Those have been disturbed, they have been kind of you know, stripped, and they have made colonies on top of that. And the third major problem is that there were natural, you know, they've started building in the way of as the water naturally flows. So you would have what you call nalas, rainwater nalas. So they have built colonies across those nalas, and those nalas have been abandoned, and those nalas are now, you know, carrying filth and sewer. So all sources of water, rainwater, that would actually enrich the city's water heritage have been encroached upon or completely destroyed.
So in a way, are you saying that that is the reason that, you know, off and on we see there are floods in the city and there is scarcity of water as well?
Yes, yes, this dichotomy exists because of this. The dichotomy exists because you are not allowing water to take its own course. You built across it, so that causes floods. You're not giving free run to water, so that's causing floods, number one. And then you have destroyed all those vessels where you would collect water, so that is causing scarcity.
So what are the lessons here should be for the people who are living in the city and for the administrations?
Well, it's very clear that floods indicate that there's enough water which is available, and the scarcity of water that you still have indicates that you have messed up with the water collection system, water harvesting system. Otherwise all this flood water would have been, you know, channelized and would have been put to use. It would have fulfilled the domestic and the public needs of water needs of the city.
So what are the solutions you would be suggesting to the authorities? What should be done now that you have disturbed the ancient architecture of the city, the water architecture of the city? Now how you should, rectify all those blunders that you have done and disturbed everything related to the drainage or to the water sources of the city?
Well, telling the government to do something is actually a tall order. However,
as a intellectual or as a person who can advise think tanks also, what would you suggest that how can we rectify those mistakes that have already occurred?
See, any conversation is two ways. If I say something, there has to be somebody to listen, so that the other end is often missing. I have a lot to say and I have a lot to advise, but somebody has to receive it.
Somebody has to listen to it, and the Jal Shakti minister is from this. It is his parliament constituency, and it is the constituency of the chief minister of the state. I think.
Fortunately, he's here. The Jal Shakti minister. I find him very sensitive, and he's open to these ideas. So, what has happened in the course of the time is sometimes because of political exigencies, and sometimes because the euphoria of new technology, they have started relying on dams and canals and water from far away catchments or rivers. Right now we're getting water from Punjab, and in the process what they have done is they've completely abandoned, as I told you, the traditional structures. What should actually have happened is both should have gone hand in hand, because these traditional structures can only supply water to a limited population. So when you ask me the way forward, one is that you have to build a very strong sustainable water grid where you revive these water bodies, because they're still alive regardless of whether you have abandoned. When I say they're alive, they still hold water. You cannot take away water. You can close them, you can bury the whole thing, but if it is open, it still has water. So that's a good sign. So that it also speaks volumes about the sustainability of those whole things. So one is revive them. The second is connect them to the major network, the larger network, the infrastructure, the engineering infrastructure that you have. Is you're getting water from canals and dams. So while those are off-site sources, these are your local on-site sources. So both have to complement each other. You cannot let the water which is falling on this ground go waste. Collect that. So only then you will be able to fulfill your needs. And the third is that let's restart building such water bodies. Because earlier it was done in a 7 square kilometer of the walled city area, or maybe in the immediate vicinity. Now the city has spread, and according to the 2031 master plan, the proposed master plan, the population is going to be 31 lakhs of Jodhpur, which will be almost twice of what it is now, and it is spreading. It's a huge spread. So as it is spreading, they should create more water bodies, inspired by the old traditional water bodies, and then that process must continue, and that's the way to continue.
What you have to say on the separation of drainage system and potable water, because in a way we are hearing that it is contaminating water sources.
Yeah, because all the water supply lines that we have, they were of, I think, GI at one point of time. They have corroded, they've started leaking, and the same is true, as I hear, of the drainage system, sewerage system also. So there is some kind of connect which happens between the two, and the sewer system is probably, as I hear, as I reckon, is polluting the water supply system. So that's an infrastructure problem which needs to be completely changed. They have to strip those old lines and they have to put in those lines. So I think but that's a separate issue. That's about water supply. The question is about collecting water and having enough water. So today, if a new township comes up, and if you ask the Public Health and Engineering Department, what you call PHED, so I've been speaking to them informally, and they say that there's a lot of pressure for them to supply water to them, but they say we don't have water. So under the judicial pressure, all that they manage to do is take one line and deliver it at their township's gate, and then they leave it to the developer to take it further or fend for himself.
Is the mammoth scale of construction work, unorganized construction work throughout the city, responsible for water crisis or floods in the city up to some extent? Let's ask the leading architect of the Jodhpur city, Anu Mridul. What is your take on this?
The mammoth scale of work has affected in the sense that the new colonies which are coming up and which have come up in Jodhpur. Now these colonies have been planned with notwithstanding, regardless of how the water flows, how the natural water, when rain falls here, how the water flows. So some of the colonies, you'll be surprised that they have been planned in areas where there was a water collection, just say pond kehte hain, or they would call talab. For instance, I live in a place which is called Bakhat Sagar, which is originally a Bakhat Sagar. So rainwater from the walled city would come and get collected over there. It would fill that pond and then it would go to the Joshri river. Now Bakhat Sagar has got converted into a colony. Now similarly, there's one place called Pavta, which used to be a huge water collection area. That is again another colony. So this is how the scale of construction is affecting. I think more than scale of construction, the way city is being planned and has been planned in the last 100 years. That is what has become the bane.
So you, in a way, you are saying that those catchment areas have been disturbed. The waterways through which the water used to flow to these water bodies has been blocked. So up to some extent they have disturbed the water architecture of the city. So you have recently helped restore an old Bawri also in the city, and
yes.
You have also planned a new Bawri in the Umaid Heritage, which is a recent township which has
right.
come up in
right.
Jodhpur, and it is close to Umaid Bhawan Palace.
Right.
Enlighten us on this.
So, as I told you some time back, that there are three ways of making Jodhpur water positive. One is revive the old Bawris, bring them into the mainstream, because water is still there. The other is connect them to the larger network, and the third is start building more such Bawris.
Okay.
So, but we are fortunate enough to be able to do all three. So, and in the first effort, what we are doing is we are restoring. First, we have started listing, identifying the Bawris. We are restoring those Bawris and trying to put them into the main grid. So, we have already started doing work over 10 or 12 Bawris, and we have good, CSR. We're looking forward to getting good CSR funds to be able to do many more. And people are coming forward now. I mean, we've been trying to do it for many years now, but fortunately, it has come to fruition only now that people start coming forward and they want to finance and they want to sponsor some of the Bawris. Because you see, water or giving water to people through Piau or through, kuas and these Bawris has always been a philanthropic. It's a matter of religious merit. So people, some of them have woken up to that also, that if they help you revive the Bawris, they are actually doing a good deed, a good religious deed. So that is one thing that we are doing. The other is, we have set an example by creating making a new Bawri in this township. It's called Umaid Heritage Township. It's on the foothills of Umaid Bhawan Palace. It's spread over about 400 bighas and would have, I think, to my reckoning, about 1500 residents or something. Now, the lowest most portion in this whole terrain, we have selected for a new Bawri, and we are collecting 1.75 crore litres of rainwater in this. And this rainwater, if you see the old pictures of this land and you see the new pictures, and you'll see the kind of greenery we have been able to maintain. Because you see, while you might be able to give water for domestic needs, but to change the microenvironment of a place, you're after in a desert city, it's very difficult to live here. The temperatures go up to 50 degrees centigrade, and you can't afford to maintain greens over here because you don't have enough water. But if you collect this water, so what we have done is we have created this Bawri, and we are using it for irrigation, and in times of emergency we'll supply it to people. So by way of this, we have been able to create an example that here, even today, Bawris are feasible and viable financially also and technically also, and you should do more and more. And if you do this, then we have been able to prove through this township that these become very successful ventures, very successful water sources, and they're kind of mitigating the water scarcity issues that we have in the city.
So on the basis of the discussion we had on water and water bodies and ancient architecture, water architecture of the city and the present architecture of the city, in your opinion, where the city is heading?
Well, the city is heading towards what I would say a more water stressed state. Because see, what is happening is that till some years back we were getting water from a dam called Jawai Dam, which is about 250 or 300, between 250 300 kilometers from here, and you would get water only if it would rain in that region. So no rains in that region means no water here. But in the last 10 years or 15 years, we have started getting water from Punjab, and you know, water crisis and the water disputes between states. So Punjab, we are getting water from Punjab, but Punjab will, for Punjab, that river will always remain their priority. Their water will be their priority. When they stop giving us water, how much water they give is actually, like you have these disputes in Karnataka and all those places. So we can't go on depending on those. So the idea is to, well, that continues, and we are grateful that it is happening, but we have to develop our own sources, because we have our sources. If we did not have sources, maybe we would not have spoken so much about it or campaigned so much about the revival. But we have our own sources, and let me tell you that even though Jodhpur is considered to be a low rainfall area, I do not think that it is insufficient rainfall that you have. However much rain falls over here is sufficient to fulfill our demands. So the problem is not water scarcity, but water management.
So the problem is water management. You have to preserve your ancient water architecture, and you're also looking forward to the capable people who can support these construction of new Bawris, and people have to stop the construction work around these catchment areas of these water bodies, and ensure the water security of the city by your positive action.